She stood in that saloon doorway like a ghost, her Navajo shawl torn and dusty, her eyes holding the kind of desperation that comes from staring death in the face. Every man in that room knew what she was before she spoke, a widow without protection in a frontier town that would devour her alive. But I didn't expect what came next. She walked straight to my table, ignored the slurs and thrown garbage, and said 5 words that shattered what was left of her pride. "I need you to marry me." Not a question, not a plea disguised as something softer, just raw survival stripped down to its brutal truth. She offered herself, her work, her loyalty, her very life, in exchange for one simple thing I could provide, the protection of a white man's name. And God help me, I said yes. The dust of Gallup's main street clung to everything, and Ayana pulled her worn shawl tighter as she moved through the afternoon shadows. 3 months had passed since they'd found her husband Kaya's body in the arroyos north of town, his skull crushed by rocks. The territorial marshal had called it an unfortunate accident. A dead Navajo wasn't worth investigating. She'd tried returning to her mother's hogan on the reservation, but the Indian agent refused her passage. "No papers," he'd said. "Your husband signed you off tribal lands when he took work in town." She belonged nowhere, neither among her people nor in this hostile settlement. The mill foreman had made it clear her credit was exhausted. No husband meant no work, and no work meant no food. She'd sold everything. Kaya's tools, her silver jewelry, her grandmother's turquoise hair ties. All that remained was the tattered tent on the edge of town and the clothes on her back. Ayana stopped outside the general store, her stomach cramping with hunger. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Yesterday, she'd asked Mrs. Patterson for work. The woman had looked at her like she was diseased. "We don't hire Indians. No decent woman works alongside a squaw." Now, as the September sun descended toward the mesas, Ayana watched a rider approach from the east. He sat tall in his saddle, leading cattle that kicked up red dust. Even from a distance, she could see he was white, his wide-brimmed hat and worn duster marking him as a rancher. He rode alone, and there was something in his posture that made her think he understood what it meant to be unwanted. The rider dismounted outside the livestock corral and negotiated with the stock buyer. When the transaction concluded, the rancher turned toward the saloon, and for a moment his eyes met hers. They were gray as winter sky and empty as the surrounding desert. Then he looked away and pushed through the saloon doors, and Ayana was left standing in the street with an idea forming, desperate, humiliating, and possibly her only chance at survival. Cole Brennan ordered whiskey and found a corner table where he could watch the door. The cattle sale had brought $300, enough to last through winter. His small ranch outside Durango ran 100 head, but disease had taken 40 last spring. At 42, Cole was tired in ways sleep couldn't fix. His wife Sarah had died of cholera 7 years ago, and his son Nathan had followed her 6 months later. Since then, Cole had discovered that a man could be surrounded by cattle and land and still feel like the last person on earth. Through the window, he could see the Navajo woman still standing in the street, her shawl dark against the fading light. Something about her posture, proud despite obvious poverty, reminded him of Sarah. An hour passed, maybe 2. The saloon filled with cowhands, prospectors, and townsmen. Cole was considering whether to rent a room when the saloon doors opened and the Navajo woman stepped inside. The noise died instantly. Every head turned, and Cole saw hostility ripple through the room. The woman walked directly to his table, ignoring the muttered insults. She stopped in front of him. She was younger than he'd thought, maybe 30, with high cheekbones and eyes that had seen too much. "You are alone," she said. Her English was accented but clear. "No wife, no family. I saw it in your eyes." Cole set down his glass. "Lady, I don't know what you think. I need a husband." The words came out flat, desperate. "My husband is dead 3 months. I have no food, no protection. The town will not help me. I will die here unless someone intervenes. Cole felt the saloon watching. I'm sorry for your troubles, but I am asking you to marry me. She said it louder now, and laughter rippled through the room. I can cook, clean, work. I ask nothing except protection and food. In return, you have a wife, someone to keep your home. You can't just walk into a saloon and propose to a stranger. Why not? Her eyes held his, no shame in them, only calculation. You are alone. I am desperate. We can help each other. Someone threw a wadded napkin that hit her shoulder. She didn't flinch. Get out, the barkeep called. We don't serve Indians. She ain't buying, someone shouted. She's selling. The laughter turned cruel, and Cole saw the woman's hands shake before she steadied them. She was terrified. This was costing her everything. Please, she said quietly, just to him. I am begging you. Cole stood abruptly. Outside, now. She turned and walked out, her back straight despite the jeers. Cole followed, ignoring the comments about Indian lovers. The September night had turned cold, and their breath misted in the air. The woman stood waiting, arms wrapped around herself. What's your name? Cole asked. Ayana. It means eternal blossom in my language. I'm Cole Brennan. I run cattle outside Durango. He studied her face. This is insane. You understand that? I understand I will be dead within a month if I remain here. Her voice was steady. 3 days ago, 2 men from the lumber mill followed me to my tent. They said things, suggested things. Next time I may not escape. The marshal will not help me. Cole knew she was right. He'd seen how frontier towns treated Indian women without male protection. Even if I agreed, which I haven't, it wouldn't be a real marriage, an arrangement. I ask for nothing more. Ayana stepped closer. I do not expect love, Mr. Brennan. I do not even expect kindness. I expect survival. That is all I have room for now. Cole thought about his empty ranch house, the silence that greeted him every evening. He thought about Sarah and Nathan buried on the hillside. He thought about 7 years of existing rather than living. I leave at dawn, he said finally. Durango's a week's ride. Can you ride? Hope blazed in her eyes. Yes. My ranch is small. The house needs work. It's a hard life, Ayana. Lonely. The nearest neighbor is 10 miles off and they won't welcome you. It is better than death. Yeah. I suppose it is. He looked at her, this desperate woman who'd sacrificed her pride to save her life. We'll see a judge in the morning. Make it legal. Then we go. Thank you. The words were barely a whisper. You are saving my life. Maybe. Or maybe we're both just too stubborn to die alone. Judge Harlan's office smelled of old paper and tobacco smoke. He looked from Cole to Ayana with open skepticism. Mr. Brennan, I must advise against this union. The differences in race and culture. Just do the paperwork, Cole said flatly. We're both adults, both consenting. Harlan pulled out the marriage certificate. Cole paid 2 men from the street to witness. 20 minutes later, they left as husband and wife. They spent the morning gathering supplies. Cole bought food, ammunition, and a spare horse for Ayana. She had nothing to pack except the clothes she wore. They rode out at noon. For the first few hours, neither spoke. The landscape rolled past in shades of red and gold. Ayana finally broke the silence. Why did you agree? Cole kept his eyes on the horizon. 7 years ago, I watched my wife die in a charity hospital. They stuck her in a corner with the other poor folks. She died alone while I was outside, begging the doctor to see her. He swallowed hard. I swore then I wouldn't stand by and watch someone die when I had the power to help. Ayana was quiet for a long moment. Your wife was fortunate to have been loved so deeply. She was fortunate to have been loved at all. A lot of people never get that. No, Ayana agreed softly. They do not. They camped that night in a canyon. When Cole built the fire and set coffee to boil, she took over without asking. producing cornbread from the supplies with practiced ease. "You really can cook," Cole observed. "I was not lying, Mr. Brennan. I will earn my place in your home." "Cole, if we're married, you might as well use my name. Cole." She tested the word. "And you may call me Ayana, not the Indian or squaw." "Wasn't planning on it." He chewed the cornbread. "You know it won't be easy. People in Durango won't be much friendlier than Gallup." "I know." She stared into the fire. "But at least I will be alive to face their hatred. That is more than I had yesterday." The ranch appeared on the 7th day, a modest spread nestled in a valley where the Las Animas River carved through granite and pine. The house was weathered wood with a covered porch. Corrals and a barn stood behind it, and beyond that, cattle dotted the grassland. Inside, dust covered everything. The furniture was sparse: a table, 2 chairs, a wood stove. The bedroom held a bed frame and worn mattress. "I'll fix up the spare room," Cole said. "Give you your own space." "That is not necessary." Ayana set down the supplies. "We are married. People will expect us to share a room. If I am in a separate space, it will cause talk." "I don't give a damn about talk." "Perhaps not, but I need people to believe this marriage is real, or it provides no protection at all." She met his eyes. "I am not asking for intimacy, Cole. I am asking for the appearance of normalcy." He understood the logic. "All right, I'll sleep on the floor for now." Over the following weeks, a routine emerged. Cole worked the ranch from dawn to dusk. Ayana transformed the house, scrubbing years of neglect from every surface. She cooked meals that reminded him what food could taste like when someone cared. They spoke little, both wary of crossing unspoken boundaries. But gradually, small familiarities grew. Cole learned that Ayana sang softly while she worked, traditional Navajo songs he found strangely comforting. She learned that he checked the hillside graves every evening, standing silent for exactly 5 minutes. The town proved as hostile as predicted. When Cole took Ayana to Durango for supplies, the storekeeper served them, but placed their goods on the counter as if contaminated. Women crossed the street, children pointed and whispered. That evening, sitting on the porch, she spoke without looking at him. "Do you regret it? Bringing me here?" Cole considered lying, then decided she deserved better. "Some days, I miss the simplicity of being alone, but most days, I'm grateful the house doesn't feel like a tomb anymore. That's worth something. Even though I am Navajo, even though people judge you for it. Ayana, people have been judging me since Sarah died, said I should have taken better care of her, should have had money for proper doctors." He finally looked at her. "I stopped caring about other people's opinions the day I buried my son. All I care about now is whether I can look at myself in the mirror." She nodded slowly. "Kaya used to say something similar, that honor comes from within, not from others." "Smart man." "He was." She pulled her shawl tighter. "He would have liked you, I think." "I'm not sure marrying you has cost me anything," Cole said. "Hell, I'm eating better than I have in years." She smiled then, small but genuine. "That is a low standard, Cole Brennan. Maybe so, but it's a start." As winter's first stars appeared above the mountains, Cole thought about the desperate woman who'd walked into that Gallup saloon. She'd sacrificed everything to survive, and somehow, in doing so, she'd given him something he'd lost years ago, a reason to come home. "Thank you," Ayana said quietly, "for giving me that chance." "Thank you," Cole replied, "for reminding me it was worth taking."